Guys, you're taking a look at the thumbnail, you're taking a look at the title of the video, you already know what time it is. It is time to get active. Now, guys, before we get started with this particular content, do understand that this is a major and extreme trigger alert. So, if you're enjoying your day today and you do not want to be triggered, I suggest that you click off this video right now. But I want to go through this particular conversation because I think that it's very important for modern men today to listen to stories like this, all right, with a little bit of my criticism in the middle. So let's just pop back down in there and let's have this conversation, okay? Title of this post: I cheated on my husband with one of his friends, and now I don't know what to do. I want him back. My life is terrible without him. Let's get started. Me, 23-year-old female, and my husband, 26-year-old man, have been married for around 3 months, but we've been together ever since sophomore year of high school, his senior year. We've done everything together. When he went to college, we made sure I would go to the same school. He even turned down a better scholarship to go to a school that I had a better chance of getting into since he was one of the smart kids and I was one of the more average kids, okay? So he put his entire life on hold and our jeopardy for love. That's what I'm hearing. Let's proceed. And when he finished, he immediately started working so that he could support us. And I dropped out because he knew I hated school. So he forgoed the scholarship to the top ranked schools in order to settle for schools for your average ass, and you didn't even finish. Uh-oh. We have an insurgent on our hands here, okay? He works as a software engineer right now, leaving company unnamed. Sorry for the long background, but I just want to show that I do love him with everything in my being and everything he's done for me, and I wouldn't give him up for anything. All of what you just said doesn't show that. All I just see is sacrifice from him, but you're a narcissistic insurgent, so you probably don't even realize that. Anyway, let's keep going. I stay at home and take care of the typical cleaning and cooking and house maintenance. So we have a good relationship, but we both put in a lot of work just to make sure things stay afloat. Okay, so he works, he has a full-time employed job, maybe two, you never know with situations like this. And you stay home and you do cooking and cleaning, and somehow you equate that house maintenance as to difficult things that you are doing. Oh, okay, cool. Before I get into this, I should say that my physical for attraction to him wasn't the same as when we were in college. Ever since he started working, he started to work out less, and he doesn't come to the gym with me as often, okay? He's not fat or anything, but it's obvious that he doesn't have as much muscle, and the things he had early in college, like the six-pack, which he knows I used to love, are long gone. Maybe less working out reduced his testosterone. Also, because getting older will reduce your testosterone, but he's 26 years old, so he still should be good there. His time is just used for other things, crazy lady. Also, because the sex isn't as frequent, and when we have it, it's not like it used to be. Starting a couple of months ago, one of his better friends that I will call David started coming over to hang out. Okay? I usually don't like his friends in our place so frequently, but me and David instantly, caps locks, clicked. David and I hit it off, and my husband was so happy to see that I finally got along with his friends. But then, as usual, he ended up going back to work and spending less and less time with me, which honestly might have been one of the reasons I cheated. When we were about to get married, he promised me he wouldn't fall out of touch like in the movies and that he wouldn't abandon me for work. But that's exactly what I feel like happened. Listen, he was probably so happy that you and David clicked also too, because he knows what it takes to actually support and provide for a family, which requires a great deal of work, okay? So because of that, he's like, well, damn, she's at home doing menial, easy task. She's probably bored out of her mind, and now she's clicking with one of my best friends. At least he can take up the time with her. But the husband didn't understand who his real friends are and didn't understand who his wife was, okay? Let's keep going. David started swimming by a couple of hours before my husband got home to wait for him comfortably. So we started hanging out. We did everything together that I felt my husband should have taken the time to do with me. We binged Netflix, talked so much, went out to the movies. Whenever people saw us, they said I looked happier. And at that point, I think I was. David started swinging by to hang out with me more than my husband. So we came earlier and earlier. And soon it was just the beginning of the day. As long as he didn't have class, he was working on his master's. I'd argue and I'd guess here that the husband didn't know that David started to come that early. I'd argue that unless he was so blue pill in his understanding of the world and how it can work, and then also in not an understanding of male nature as well, the competitive, possessive nature of men, of males, that he chose not to bat an eye. But here's the thing. The wife chose to let him spend all of the time with him. Spend all of the time with her. Okay? So we cannot escape the fault of her in it as well. If you are married and you're letting other people into the home for that long and that frequently, shit is bound to happen. There's no such thing as male and female friends. It doesn't exist. And for the women that are down up in here that think so, whoever you consider your best friends, text them right now. Say, I'm waiting at home in my bed, ass up, belly down, come through, and see how many will ignore you. One morning when he came by and we started to binge Netflix, I didn't have as much clothes on as usual because he came at like 9 a.m., which was slightly earlier than expected. This is some crazy shit. You're allowing another dude to come at 9 a.m. when the husband gets off in the meeting. What do you got? You guys just chilling all day, eating ice cream and binging Netflix? This is just pure absurdity. But I was already so comfortable with him that it didn't matter. I only had on a big shirt and some underwear, and I didn't realize until it was too late I wasn't wearing a bra. So I felt awkward. Then David, as a joke, took off his clothes and only had a shirt and his boxers and climbed into the bed next to me saying, it was undies time. And he was abnormally close, but I ended up moving in even closer. He put his hand on my thigh and I ended up moving to sit in between his legs. And before I even thought about it, he turned to me around and started grinding an erection onto me, and I kissed him. I didn't intend for it to go further than that, but he was everything that my husband wasn't anymore. He was built, and I could tell he really wanted me more than my own husband had, so we ended up doing the nasty. I trusted him, of course, so we never used protection throughout that day, and he gave me the opportunity to feel ways and do things I hadn't done in so long. She's for the streets. Let's keep going. All it takes is a weak mind to be convinced of absolutely anything. This is really a sad component of the reality of getting married early, getting married young, getting married to someone that you think that purports to you the Disney fantasies without understanding components of human nature. This is what happens when you live a life of blue pill and not red pill, with the rose-colored glasses still planted sufficiently on your face. You trust everybody because you think that everybody is as trusting as you. This is what can happen. Okay? I'm not blaming him, but I need the husband to take accountability for some of the things that can happen. David, on the other hand, doesn't give two shits is a shitty person, a shitty friend, just porked the wife of his best friend. Some demonic shit. Everything in this post of the wife is just speaking from a perspective of me. This is how I felt. He owes me as his wife to treat me like XYZ. Go get a hobby, harlot. Go find something to do with your thought-like time. Go figure it out instead of spending all day cheating. I thought I would feel bad after, but I didn't. I was only really excited that I was desired and wanted and satisfied again. Me and David continued this relationship for months, and I ended up giving him the nickname Hubby. Oh, you disgust me. Because I really felt like he was my true husband, the way he treated me. But of course, he started to get possessive like men do, and this is where the huge problems began. Whenever we had sex, he wanted my wedding ring off, and I ended up losing it, and my husband immediately noticed because I made a point of never having it off. But that was only the first thing. David told me to stop kissing my husband or really treating him like he was my husband at all. And I did. I treated my husband like shit because he manipulated me into believing he was a shitty husband and person for leaving me so alone. I went back on birth control and we never used protection because he didn't like it, and I never objected because I just enjoyed the feeling of being taken. She's for the intergalactic superhighway. There's only been so many times that I can say that in a goddamn video. But you're cheating. You're putting your husband at risk with raw dog cheating. He's busting up into the club, I'm assuming. You're taking your wedding ring off, and you're still treating your husband like shit. You're manipulating and you're gaslighting your husband. After he laid his whole life down on the line for you. I stopped kissing my husband. I put as much distance between us in the bed as possible. And I made a point to never have sex with him no matter what. Well, at least you chose to do that, okay? Thought you were putting him at risk with your slimy hole, but at least you didn't do that, okay? I called him fat and ugly when I got angry or was upset, and it just sent my marriage into ruins. David was still around, and I guess my husband realized how lovey-dovey I was with David because he started making accusations, and of course, David got possessive again. So when my husband told him he couldn't come over anymore, he sent my husband months worth of pictures and videos and messages we had made and sent to each other as some kind of sick payback. Oh, so you was his little porno star on top of all of this as well. Husband put in all the work. David got the fruits of all of that labor. Ridiculous. When my husband got home, he was infuriated and he screamed and he threw things and I had no idea what to do. And then I realized that David didn't really care about me as much as my husband did. If he was willing to expose me like that, he started yelling about how hard he was working as if I didn't help around the house. And he broke a lot of my personal items. He was crying in the corner and talking about how he wanted to himself. And I was so scared because he randomly kept lashing out again. He was tormented. But you were scared. He kept asking me questions, half yelling, half crying, about how often and how long it had been going on. And I broke down and started crying and told him everything. He looked at the videos on his phone, getting angry again because I told David I loved him. And that he was better than my husband, and other things that insulted him. In the videos, he saw that we were having sex in our marital bed, and that we never used a condom, and he always blasted off inside of me. And I could see something in him just break, because it was my first time back in high school, and I didn't let him do any of that until we were married. He kept scratching at his skin and harming himself in weird ways and insulting himself like I would insult him when I got angry and I was scared he was going insane. This poor 26-year-old man was having a complete and utter mental breakdown because his whole world crashed beside him. Listen, here's the thing, too. He's married. Here's the thing. At the point of divorce, because he has the photos, the videos, the messages that was sent by the scumbag, the ex-best friend, he'll be able to make a very clean split and or break as if he's able to get his mental health back in order, okay? But let's say that he didn't have any of that stuff. She denied cheating, and she was still doing all of this. It'd be a much more difficult climb to get up out of this, okay? Thankfully, the neighbors called the police due to the yelling, although they took his side a little more than mine, and they asked me if I had somewhere else to stay. So I don't know if they hospitalized him or not. Now I live with my mother, and I'm working part-time again. I regret anything. This part right here takes me out, although they took his side a little bit more than mine. Oh, what a narcissist. Though I still haven't been able to quite distance myself from David, says the insurgent, because I think he's really started to care for me once my husband tossed me aside, and he's been there for me. David calls me wifey now, and it hurts because I just want my real husband back. Boo-hoo. You ain't gonna get him. We haven't gotten officially divorced, but he won't talk to me or return my messages or anything at all. Good for you, David. If I send a third party there, he just tells me to tell them to go get a lawyer because he wants to divorce me. I don't know if I'll do well in the divorce since he paid for everything. And because of David, he has a mountain of evidence on me cheating. I really just want this to be done and over with. Yeah, you ain't getting shit in a divorce. He could have a monkey for a divorce lawyer and still win with the mountain of evidence against you. Of course you regret it, you scumbag. Of course you do. You got caught. You ruined a man's life, and you barely even in this note talk about how bad that you feel that you are making your husband go insane through your actions all about you. What can I do to get him back? And if I don't, how will I do in the divorce? She wrote a little update, all right? After writing that post, I was able to get in contact with my husband's sisters, and apparently he's not doing very well mentally. Apparently he hasn't been eating, and he's lost a ton of weight. She said all he does is work and sleep and maybe eat every other day. She said, I also did nearly unfixable damage to his confidence because now he's afraid to go out in the public because he thinks people will see him as a joke. Honestly, I don't see how his mental condition is my fault. It's his response and his choice to do what he's doing. He still wants me to sign the papers, and he's threatening me with the evidence that was sent to him by David. I'm going to hold off on any attempt to get him back until I can assure that he's not going to do anything drastic like that on the night that he found out. Guys, I'm going to end the note right here. I'm going to give you my last thoughts. Here's the thing. This is absolutely a psycho lady. Here's the thing. Here's my advice to you. Let him have the divorce and let him go. If you love him, like you said in the beginning of this note, let him go. Let him go so he can rebuild remnants of his life that you've taken from him. He deserves better than you. And in fact, you don't deserve anybody. If there's anyone out the situation that probably needs the most therapy, it's you. You have something wrong with you to the extent of, I would say this is kind of teetering on the side of psychopath, because very few times within this entire note that you had sympathy for anything that you have done. You mentioned frequently that you regret certain things regarding it, but it didn't seem that you really cared about it at all. His sister just admitted that he can't even go out in public like that anymore. And you don't understand how his confidence is broken as per your note. You need help, lady. Truth be told, you are lucky that he chose to walk away from the situation because there are men in this world that would have done a lot more with less circumstance. Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. This is a tough one right here, okay? This is really tough to go over content like this, but I find it appropriate to be able to do so we can have a conversation. Until next time, YouTube. Peace!